This is the largest legally allowed deck I can build without needing permits, and it took me many weeks to complete, just kind of chipping away at it one little bit at a time, but it's all together now. Made a few mistakes along the way, which I'll share with you guys, but yeah, overall I'm really happy with it. We finished it off with some composite decking, and I used pressure treated wood on basically everything. I still need to build some stairs right here, and I still need to build the fences, but aside from that, it's a pretty nice deck. And we had 4th of July out here, which was fun. So yeah, looking forward to sharing this whole process with y'all, and hope it's interesting. Stay tuned and I'll show you guys how we went from just a bunch of dirt to a deck. So basically right now all I'm doing is coming through with a shovel, and we're gonna dig in that hole. I've got some paper base that I'm gonna be pounding into there, and then I'm just gonna be doing this a bunch of times to get the concrete blocks in, and then after that I think we should be good to copy paste that 2 more times and start getting all these things level with our joists. So stay tuned. I'm starting with all 4 corners, and I've got the blocks where they should be, and what I did is I basically used a pickaxe and I dug down until I hit some hard rocks. Some of these places I need to dig down deeper than others, but we got them. And then I used some paper base and I tapped it down with a tamper, and then I also measured off. So this side of the deck is going to be 16 feet, and I'll have a 1 foot offset on each of those. So basically the spacing between this guy and this guy should be 16 minus 2, which is 14. And then because it's going to be 12 feet long this way, there should be a 10 foot, so 12 minus 2 gap between this guy and this guy, which there is. And then to make sure that this thing is square, what we're doing is the 3-4-5 method. So basically I calculated it, so if that's 10 feet and that's 14 feet, then this hypotenuse, the distance between that guy and that guy, has to be 17 feet and about 2.5 inches. And I just made sure that it was also 17 feet, 2.5 inches from there to there. All right, just finished getting all these leveled and tried to move as much of the ground away as I can. And now we're gonna put on a weed barrier. And then the next step will be to cut out the 4x4 posts for all these guys. Got the weed barrier down, and I just cut out a hole in that one, and so hopefully we can keep these holes pretty small and just shove these posts through here. So I'm gonna go now cut a bunch more of these 4x4 pieces. I've also got some wood preservative. Picked this up, I think it was a gallon for about 30 bucks or so, and I just put it in here. It smells pretty strong. But yeah, I'm taking all my cuts of my 4x4s, and I'm just dipping the part that's gonna be on the ground first, because I'm gonna be cutting the tips off. Here's what it looks like. Got all of our posts in. It's beginning to kind of look like a deck. Hopefully these guys are close enough together that we can begin to put our 2 16-foot boards on either side. Yeah, I'm really liking this weed barrier stuff, because I think if you're a weed, you're gonna have a hard time getting through all that. All right, so we're now putting on the 2x8 by 16 footer, and using my 6-foot level here. If I was better, I'd have a string and a line level, but I'm not. Just clamped it, and I threw in a 3-inch decking screw right there just to hold it temporarily before this thing is as level as I can reasonably make it. Then we're across this board, which is great. I got this guy first installed and level, and then I took a piece of wood that I have and I stuck it against the wall so it's still, you know, as square against the wall as I can make it. And then I stuck it against there, stuck it against here, and so I'm gonna basically do all 4 corners first, and then we'll work on like the middle sections and that one. But basically trying to figure out how high up on this 4x4 do I need to make this thing. So basically after I figured out how far away from here this guy needs to be flush with that, the next thing I did is I just marked it right there. And now, and I'm just holding the clamps right now, and I've got a clamp right here, and I took this board and I basically put it on top of this guy, and I've made this thing as level as I can reasonably make it. And I clamped this thing right here, and then underneath there I've marked with a pencil how high I'm gonna need to raise up this guy that it's now going to be level with that one over there. And then once I get this guy level with that, I'm going to then level this board. And in theory, those guys over there should also be level. And I'm just gonna verify it by grabbing one of these things and doing that. So, alrighty, so using this clamp, just got this guy on this corner. And this thing is as level as I can reasonably make it. Just awesome. And then I got this guy right here, which again, as level as I can reasonably make it. And then this guy right here, as level as I can reasonably make it. So just got this corner done, this corner, and this corner. Just great. All right guys, update here on the deck build is we finished our box post foundations, which is great. Cut off the tops, got them flat, and started building the actual floor joists. So we've got our rim joist right here and then the floor joist. And I'm just kind of trudging along here. Got the piece cut out here so I can push this more against the wall. And I'll just cut off another piece of 2x8 and stick it in between those guys. We just finished getting all the joists on. Still have a couple joist hangers I have to fully fasten, but yeah, it is very late in the evening. Don't have much daylight left, but I'm really happy with how this thing's looking so far. We are going to be putting on an exterior guardrail on our deck. So basically what I'm going to do is make use of the deck and guardrail tension tie kit. Alright, we got our first carriage bolt in, and what I'm doing right here is I'm adding in a shim right here because this guy is not as level as I would like it to be. And here, I like it. Then we'll tighten up this bolt and we'll throw in another carriage bolt right here, and then we'll be good to go. Little update here. We're installing the blocking, and this thing is not perfectly square. Unfortunately, not all these spaces are exactly the same, but basically what I'm doing is I'm cutting off as many 14.5-inch pieces as I can, because that's what the spacing should be when you've got a 16 zone centers. We're going to be looking at joist tape, and basically the whole point of this is to help protect your joists and your blocking and your rim joists, everything else from water. So when we have our final deck boards on top of this thing, any water that kind of gets through here, ideally this tape kind of creates a little barrier that helps protect this wood. All right, so picture framing is coming along. I did my miter cuts on these guys. This board is just about 16 feet long, and I tried to get this as good as I can make it. Haven't screwed anything down yet, but you can see what that stuff looks like underneath, and I'm liking how this looks so far. Hey guys, we are about to actually start placing our composite deck boards on this thing. Because I did a picture frame, I realized that I actually do need to have one joist or one block or whatever you want to call it at the very edge of the picture frame on the inside of it. My boards are going to be going this way, and the reason for that is that you have support on the edge of the board so it doesn't dip down or, you know, pull up or something like that, so when people are stepping in this specific area, they're not going to be falling through that. So basically the way this thing works is you've got these two little feet thing, so when you pull that guy, this one expands a little bit, so basically it's doing this to grab onto those deck boards. These guys right here are your spacers, and so when I put this guy in, just make sure it sits down all the way. You can see how there are these metal feet right there, so that guy right now is not all the way down. So that's looking a little bit better. Nope. So I have a little clamp here. I'm gonna undo that. Just make sure that you get it so the feet are all the way against the board, and that way you're getting your proper spacing. So in this case, it's doing a 3/16 spacing on either side of this thing. And I've already got the boards to the left here installed. And so now that this thing's down like that, I'm just gonna tighten my clamp back up real quick to do this with one hand. But this thing's down, we've got our spacing. Now you can just come in here and you drop screws into these little holes. And I'm going to put this thing thread in. Just like that. It's probably dumb to do this with one hand, so I highly recommend using two if you can, but for the sake of television, we're doing this. We're also double checking again that we've got our 2 feet on the ground, got our proper spacing. Okay, now just like that, pull this thing off. You can see that it's pretty good. You don't have anything on the top here. You do have these little holes on the sides of your boards, but that is how this thing works. And so that's what we've been doing to get all these boards on. So we're just going to keep on going down, and I'm going to keep on using the clamp as long as I can just to keep even spacing. This is the finished product, and I'm super happy with how it turned out. It was a ton of work. I had help from my wife and her brother, so that's great. And the picture frame looks pretty good, and the spacing on this side's pretty consistent, and we got a pretty nice final trim piece here against the wall. I used my table saw to rip a piece, and that's looking pretty nice. And on this side, you have to look at it pretty hard to see it, but basically right here, from here to here is 4¼ and right there is 3 inches. So this piece is a trapezoid. So what I did is I ripped the piece 4¼ long, and then I used the offcut as a straight line to basically draw a straight line across from here to here. So we have one side here still being, this is 2 5/8 because I had to account for the gaps on either side. But yeah, basically just did that. Did a line cut with a jigsaw, and the jigsaw cut was very jaggedy. This, a bunch of bumps and stuff. So the way I smoothed out that was by using a planer and by basically just hitting all those bumps to make it look like it's a pretty continuous line. And I think it turned out pretty good. But yeah, if you also look at it this way, these deck boards have a little bit of a curve to them too, but these are only things I think I'll notice. But yeah, I'm really happy with how everything turned out. I hope this lasts a long time. And I also did a cutout using, this is 4-inch PVC pipe, and I was worried how it would look. I thought it would look pretty trashy, but honestly I think it looks pretty nice. I could have tried to maybe get some more wood to go through there, but honestly, I like it. And so this deck is just about as close to 200 square feet as we can get without going over. Got a lot of nice room to play, and now we're going to be working on building in some actual guardrails so that people don't fall off. And I might be throwing in some more weed barrier underneath it to protect all this stuff. But yeah, there it is with our exterior deck guardrails. We're gonna hook up something to be balusters in that. But yeah, that is the deck. And yeah, I'm really happy. First ever big structure I've made. Learning a lot and having fun, and looking forward to doing more stuff too. So thanks all for watching, and be well.